Here we go. Hi, so thank you for having me. My name is Chinzila Terry. I'm currently an elementary school teacher in Hamden. I appreciate the opportunity to testify today in support of Governor's Bill 5035, requiring school district to ban student access to personal wireless devices during the school day and to restrict social media access on school-provided internet except for instructional purposes. This legislation, I feel, really reflects what educators, parents, and mental health professions across the country are seeing every day. Unrestricted access to cell phones and social media during the school day is undermining learning, it's increasing student anxiety, and making it harder for students to engage meaningfully with one another and with their teachers. This bill is not anti-technology. It is about setting clear, developmentally appropriate boundaries during the hours when students are expected to learn, concentrate, and build social skills in a structured environment. Our research consistently shows that cell phone access negatively affects academic performance. One of the most frequently cited large-scale studies examining schools that implemented phone bans found measurable improvements in student achievement after bans were adopted, with the largest gains among lower achieving students. That finding is especially important from an equity perspective, which I know we talk a lot about. So students who are already struggling with attention, organization, and executive functioning are often the most harmed by constant digital distractions. Even when phones are not actively being used, their presence matters. Cognitive science research demonstrates that the mere presence of a smartphone can reduce available working memory and attention, a phenomenon that is sometimes referred to as brain drain. This aligns with what teachers observe daily, including myself. Students are less engaged, more impulsive, and are quicker to disengage when devices are within reach, even if they are face down or silenced. The impact on student mental health is equally important. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention report historically high rates of persistent feelings of sadness and hopelessness among adolescents, alongside increases in anxiety, depression, and electronic bullying. Heavy social media use has been associated with increased exposure to peer conflict, comparison, and harassment, often occurring during the school day itself. The U.S. Surgeon General has warned that current levels of social media exposure pose a potential risk to youth mental health, and that safety has not been proven at the scale at which these platforms are used. I know sleep disruption is another issue for my kids and for students across the board, and I understand that while schools cannot control device use at night, they can establish healthy norms during the school day that reinforce healthier habits and reduce constant digital stimulation. Connecticut would not be acting alone in taking this step. Across the United States, large districts such as Los Angeles Unified have already implemented bell-to-bell cell phone free policies, citing improvements in focus, reductions in conflict, and healthier school climate. Several states, including Florida, have adopted statewide restrictions on student device used during instructional time. Internationally, countries like France, England, and the Netherlands have already moved toward national policies limiting phone use during the school day. In the Netherlands, government-commissioned research found that a strong majority of secondary schools reported improved student concentration and social interaction after phone restrictions were introduced. What distinguishes this governor's bill, I think, is that
can you please summarize your testimony?
Yep. Sure. It sets a clear statewide expectation while preserving important safeguards. It requires devices to be powered off and stored, which is essential for consistent enforcement, but it also explicitly protects our students who need access under an individualized education plan or a 504 plan or a documented medical necessity. It requires districts to establish clear emergency communication procedures so families can reach students through appropriate school channels, addressing a common and legitimate concern raised by parents. It also recognizes that social media access on school-wide networks should be limited to instructional purposes, not unrestricted use during the school day. Educators should not be left to negotiate phone use in a classroom, classroom by classroom or school by school. So I think that a statewide standards provides clarity, consistency, and fairness, while still allowing districts to determine the best local methods for storage, discipline, and communication. And it sends a clear message that the school day is a time set aside for just learning, connection, and growth, not for constant digital interruption. Thank you for your time and commitment to Connecticut students.
Thank you, and thank you for your testimony. Yes, Representative Menopause.
Thank you, Cynthia. I believe you actually came down here last year and testified on the part we had here for cell phones as well. So I really appreciate you taking the time to be able to talk about this with us. I just wanted to, because I really like the point that you made, really all-encompassing of like both of the behavior, the academic, and well, the social emotional of this as well. But you mentioned a big part in that, which is something that I also have a lot of concern about, which is the bullying in the classroom. I know that some of us who are teachers know that every student who has ever been caught using their cell phone has told us that they are texting their mom. And we also know that that is not always the case, and that we have had a lot of issues of this, and it is very difficult for us to monitor interactions with students if it's being done via social media or their cell phones or whatever it is. I was hoping that you could kind of speak, because I know you are a Hampton teacher. What are some of the experiences you've had that you've seen when it comes to these kind of, I guess we would say bullying, or these just negative peer interactions in relation to cell phones and social media?
Yeah, I mean, so when kids have access to cell phone, it's like the teacher who spoke before me. They have access to more than just a phone, right? They have access to a camera. They have access to, social media where they can, post pictures of fellow students. I had a student who, was just wearing a pair of regular sneakers, not Nikes, not anything particularly expensive, and kids took a picture of those sneakers and made a comment, about where she bought them. She bought them at Walmart, and they weren't, the greatest sneakers, or they're not Nikes, and put that all over their social media account. And that student, wound up seeing that, and so, when you have kids who are already struggling, and when you have kids who are adolescents and they're still trying to find themselves and understand the world around them and to develop and create healthy images of themselves, it's really hard to do that when a classmate at any given point in time, and not even necessarily in the classroom, in the hallways, in during times where we call it unstructured time, right? When lessons aren't going on, recess or lunchtime. And it's really, this should not be shocking to anybody listening that it's taking a toll on our children. Our suicide rates are up. Depression is up, especially amongst young teenage girls. Eating disorders are up, not only in K through 12 systems, but on our college campuses. This is all, in regards to what we are seeing these young adults and young minds exposed to at a very young age, and what they perceive to be important, or where their attention needs to be. And in attention spans, we're seeing a lot of kids who are just constantly have this overstimulation of images and pictures, in their faces. And so if they're not getting this break, at least at school, at least during the school day, we're going to see an even bigger drop in social and emotional health than we already do. And so, that is why I am all for this, not only as a teacher, but as a mother. And so, yes, I do think that the state moving in this direction is what is actually necessary to save our children on so many different levels.
Thank you, Cynthia, and I appreciate your frankness on that.